For generations, these stages were dominated by one voice, male. Comedy was considered a man's world, where women were more often the punchline than the performer. But today, we're witnessing a seismic shift in the landscape of comedy, a revolution that's been decades in the making. The story of women in comedy begins long before the spotlight found today's stars. In the 1950s, when women were expected to be housewives and mothers, Phyllis Diller stepped onto the stage. Diller broke every rule in the book. She made herself the butt of the joke, crafted an outrageous persona, and most importantly, she made people laugh. But success came at a price. Diller had to create this almost cartoon-like character of herself. She couldn't be attractive or sexually appealing. That wasn't funny for women back then. She had to make herself the joke to be accepted. Then came Joan Rivers, who showed that women could be both glamorous and funny. Rivers didn't just tell jokes, she told truths. Her razor-sharp wit cut through societal expectations, though she too faced constant criticism. Joan Rivers can be quoted as saying, "They would say women aren't funny. Women shouldn't be doing this." Well, tell that to my sold-out shows. So, the revolution begins. The 1970s and 80s brought new voices to the stage. Whoopi Goldberg.
Yes, you get it, now you do.
Carol Burnett.
You're gonna get 20 years for this.
And I'll wait for you, Bernard, and I promise I'll never look at another man.
And Gilda Radner proved that women could master every form of comedy. What made these women revolutionary wasn't just their talent, it was their refusal to be boxed in. Goldberg could do characters, Burnett could do physical comedy, Radner could do it all. They showed that women's comedy had no limits. Women in comedy faced many challenges. One modern comedian says, "Even today, we face unique challenges. Walk into any comedy club and you'll likely see one woman on a lineup of 8 men." Statistics show that only 15% of headlining comedians are women. Female comedians earn on average 30% less than male counterparts, and 85% of female comedians report experiencing harassment. Another female comedian says, "We're still fighting the women aren't funny myth. Every time a female-led comedy film succeeds, it's treated like a surprise. Every time one fails, it's used as proof that women can't carry comedy." More challenges faced by female comedians include 1. The green room problem. Women feel that being the only woman in the green room can feel unsafe. You're often alone with multiple male comedians you don't know. 2nd is the material double standard. Male comedians can tell jokes about anything. Women are expected to focus on female topics, but if they do, they're criticized for only talking about women's issues. Then we have the appearance pressure. Women in comedy face constant commentary about their looks. Too pretty to be funny, not pretty enough to be on stage, too sexy, not sexy enough. And finally, there is the representation battle. Comedy writing rooms remain predominantly male, making it harder for female perspectives to reach the screen. Despite these challenges, a new generation of female comedians has broken through, changing the game forever. Let's take a look at some of these breakthrough female comedians. First up is Tina Fey. She was the first female head writer of SNL, created 30 Rock, pioneered a new era of smart, female-driven comedy, and she opened doors for other women in writing rooms. Then we have Amy Poehler. Poehler was the Parks and Recreation creator. She started Smart Girls organization, directed multiple successful films, and always champions emerging female talent. Mindy Kaling is another great example of a successful woman in comedy. She transformed representation in comedy, created multiple hit shows, broke barriers for women of color, and built her own production empire. Next, we all know and love Wanda Sykes. She has Grammy-nominated specials, groundbreaking LGBTQ+ representation, is a political comedy pioneer, and a successful producer and writer. Ali Wong also saw breakout success. She has revolutionary Netflix specials. She changed the game for Asian representation, proved pregnancy could be comedic gold, and is an extremely successful writer and actor. And next up, we have Issa Rae. She created Insecure, built a digital empire, champions black female voices, and has acquired multiple production deals. The success of these women hasn't just changed comedy, it's changed the entire business of comedy. Industry statistics show that female-led comedy films have generated over $10 billion in the last decade. Streaming platforms report female comedy specials consistently outperform expectations. More women are being hired as showrunners and executive producers, and and Jabuki Young White are among the fastest growing category. The new wave of comedy for females looks promising. Today's emerging female comedians are building on this foundation, creating their own opportunities and changing the rules. Emerging voices include Hannah Gadsby, who is redefining stand-up format, Taylor Tomlinson, who is reaching younger audiences, Sam Jay and her breaking of new ground in late night, Catherine Cohen, who blends comedy and cabaret, Patty Harrison, who pushes transgender representation, and Jabuki Young White, who is successfully challenging gender norms. The digital revolution has helped female comedians bypass traditional gatekeepers. They do this by building audiences on TikTok and Instagram, creating successful comedy podcasts, producing their own web series, and connecting directly with fans. So, what does the future look like for women in comedy? We're finally seeing the industry catch up to reality. Female comedians are not a trend. They're the future of comedy. The audience has changed too. Comedy clubs, once filled primarily with men, now see diverse crowds hungry for different perspectives and voices. The changing landscape shows more female-owned comedy clubs, women-only comedy festivals, mentorship programs, safety initiatives in clubs, and increased industry harassment policies. The story of women in comedy is still being written, but what was once a lonely journey of pioneers is now a movement of voices, each unique, each powerful, each proving that funny knows no gender. The question is no longer if women are funny, but why we ever questioned it. The stages that were once closed are now open, and the spotlight that once excluded now illuminates a new generation of talent. From Phyllis Diller's first steps onto that stage to today's stars selling out arenas, women haven't just joined the comedy world, they've transformed it, and this is just the beginning. The next generation of female comedians is watching, learning, and getting ready to take the mic. And when they do, they won't have to prove women are funny. They'll just have to be funny. Comment below who your favorite women in comedy are. And hey, if you enjoyed this deep dive into the future of comedy, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. We've got more fascinating explorations of comedy and entertainment coming your way.